Hello and welcome to episode 57 of the No Excuses podcast. My name's Anne and I live in Worcestershire with my husband Tom and our staffy Bertie, who is not behind me, so I'm not sure where he is, but he might appear at some point. Today is, well, if it was the 12th on Wednesday, 16th of April, Sunday. I actually recorded yesterday nearly an hour's video, but I decided that because I'd talked so fast and I'd waffled on about absolutely inconsequential rubbish that I should do it again. So I'm going to try and replicate that as much as I can. I've got some notes which help me no end because I do forget things, as you well know. But how are you? How you been getting on in the last nearly 3 weeks now since I recorded? Are you okay? I know I've been in touch with a lot of you via YouTube or Instagram or email even. Today we will talk about my knitting, talk about the malls next because I haven't got the stuff with me to show you, and then I've got no finished items, look at incoming, and then what I've been doing. Okay, so yeah, let's get on with it. So first of all, as I say, I've got well, I should say that everything I talk about is going to be linked below usually. If I forget anything, give me a nudge, or if you want clarification on anything, please let me know. I am wearing my City Limits jumper today, which is one of my house jumpers. I think it's the one with my favourite colours in, to be honest. Out of the three, I mean, I really like them all, but I really like the colour changes at the top of this one. At the bottom, it's a little bit, not messy, but it's a bit different. And the colours, a couple of colours I wouldn't wear anywhere near next to my face, but I wear it a lot indoors and occasionally out, but it's pilling a bit, so it's a bit tatty looking now. I wash it in the machine on the wool wash every couple of weeks or so. So yeah, in my City Limits, and on my neckline, I'm going to keep going like that probably. I bought 3 long-sleeved base layer t-shirts from Cotton Traders. They were offering 20% off. I bought a pale green, this colour, this pale like shell pink, and like a raspberry pink. And I'm pleased, all the colours are lovely, the quality is lovely, but 2 things I moaned about in the reviews, they asked me for a review, so I said with my pleasure, is the sleeves are ridiculously long. I know long sleeves are normally long on me, but I know, and also they say it's a base layer. I don't think they mean that in terms of if you bought it from Cotswold Camping or, you know, one of the real outdoorsy shops type of thing. But yeah, the sleeves for me are about 6 inches too long, and the neck is high. When you look at the t-shirt before you put it on, you think, oh, my head's never going to go to that neckline, and it does quite easily, and I've got quite a big head, but I can feel it all the time at the front. And I think this one, I haven't worn the green one yet, but I've worn the pink, the darker pink, and that wasn't as bad as this one. This is annoying me, so I think this is going to get relegated to a house t-shirt, otherwise I'm going to be going, you know, putting it down all the time. And I've got this necklace on, which is one that I bought probably about 8 years ago, and I've never worn until I put it on yesterday because I thought it went quite nicely with this jumper and the colours in the jumper. And also, when I go to Wonderwall, and that's the first mention of it, next Sunday, a week today, then I'm going to be looking for some yarn for the Aurora Cabin Shawl by Stephen West, and I quite like this combination of colours. I don't know whether you can see them, but basically it's like a moonstone colour here, a metallic copper, a beige beige peach and like a citrine colour there. So those 4 colours make up the whole necklace, and I think they look really nice together. But I'm thinking something similar to this, with perhaps instead of the moonstone and aqua, and instead of the copper, maybe something like a purpley colour. I know what I mean in my head, but yeah. If anybody's got any suggestions, or they've seen any Aurora cabin shawls that might be in similar colourways, I'll have a look in the projects page before I go next week and see what I can come up with. Because I often make shawls, and I've probably said this before, make shawls in colours that I like that go together, but they don't necessarily go with any of my clothing, and sometimes they can be a bit too clashy for me to want to wear them. You know. Hence I've given some away, but you know. So yes, so I'm wearing this pretty little necklace. Shall we talk about some knitting? And I mentioned Wonderwall, so that's right. First of all, I've made good progress on my Worsted Boxy, which is a pattern by Hoagie Locatelli. Turn my chair off before it takes me for a ride. And I have done the body, basically. You know how useless I am at holding things up. So starting at the bottom, this is just 2 strands of 4-ply held together, knitted on a 5mm needle, and I've done a broken rib on the front. You've got the standard garter stripe boxy shoulders with the short rows on the neckline, and I've and stocking stitch on the back, and I've joined the shoulders already to do the sleeves. However, I'm thinking, because you know I hate doing sleeves in the round, and this is already quite heavy for my hands and that. I'm thinking I might knit the sleeves flat and sew them in, because I honestly think that'll be quicker for me. And I think I did that on my first boxy that I made, which is my one that's now in the bin, gone. That was made out of various BFL skeins that I'd got that all went together quite nicely, and that was just a single strand of 4-ply, and it just, you know, I wore it out literally. But if you're not on Instagram, you won't know what I did, which was very stupid of me. And yes, I know. I'm always doing things like this, but I'll very quickly tell you, I've got ends to sew in like anybody's business, because I got nearer the top. I wasn't bothered about the front matching the back, because I'm sat down all the time. They do roughly, but you know, I wasn't weighing and measuring things. I'm not that bothered. But you can see the rib pattern. Excuse me. If you're knitting it in the round, it's 2 rows of 2x2, and then a row of knit and a row of purl. So if you're knitting it flat, it's 2 rows of, one side split for the armholes. It was 2 rows of 2x2 rib, followed by 2 rows of knit, and then you get this ridge. But I'd gone wrong, and I'd gone wrong weirdly. How many years knitting have I been? Yeah, how many years have I been knitting? Weirdly, halfway along a row. Well, normally I wouldn't leave my knitting in the middle of a row unless I was knitting in a round, because there's no rows. So I'd normally complete a row when I'm knitting flat. But I hadn't done that in this case, and I kept looking at it, and I thought, well, it doesn't matter. I'll turn this into the back. You probably know what's coming. Well, I didn't. So I duly did the back, and I cast off everything, and I got the needles transferred. I put the back needle stitches onto a piece of yarn, a piece of wool, you know, string, whatever. So I picked all them up and put it back on the needle, and etc. And I started knitting, and I thought, you idiot, the back's plain, the front's patterned, you can't do that. So I put all those stitches back on. What I did, I knitted the back. Then I knitted the back to be the back because I knew how many rows I'd done handily, because I've got a 4-row pattern there. I knew how many rows I needed to do before I got to the shoulder shaping, or the shoulder rows. So I finished the back first while I was there. Then I went back and I undid the front, and I took it down to past the mistake I'd made, because I thought, if I'm going to do it, I might as well do it properly, which I should have done in the first place, save myself a lot of time. And I finished the front. Lessons learned. Don't try and cut corners. So yeah, I don't know how much it weighs. It's quite hefty, and I'll get on with the sleeves fairly soon. But I've made very, very little progress on the Blue Moment. You know, the lovely rusty coloured lacy cardigan that's out of the contrast book that I showed you last time. I've split for the armholes, and I'm doing that at night. But I think after today, I'm going to use it for my day knitting. There's no way I'm going to get it finished by the end of the week to wear for next Sunday. But I'd like to be able to wear it during the summer because it's lacy. I think it'll be a nice pretty top to wear instead of a jacket. So the other thing I've been knitting on, of course, is, and I've got to be careful here because I've got 2 little balls of wool attached to this, because I've stupidly started another square before I started podcasting, is Tom's blanket. So I'm knitting it using 5mm DPNs with an elastic band at the other end. And basically I'm doing the same that I did for the mitered square blanket for me earlier in the year, and we're only in April. But this one is going to be the same number of squares if I can find. I have got enough yarn, of course I've got enough yarn, but I'm trying to use scraps and end of things, or things that I've already made out of, you know, and I've got quite a bit left over, and I can't see me putting it into another garment because this will get used, so it's as valid as a garment, isn't it, really? But whereas mine was a 40 stitch square, this is a 60 stitch square, so it's already 50% bigger. And I can tell you, it feels like it some days. It feels like I'm never getting past the between 20 and 30 stitches on my knee, on each side of the decrease line, which you can't really see. So I've done 3 complete rows now, columns, and I'm on my 4th, and they're 8 long and they're going to be 12 wide. Unless Tom tells me it's too big, because it needs to be rectangular so we can wear it down over his legs, and that's quite heavy as well, and I'm really enjoying that. It's a mix of colours. You can see it's got some pink. I'm using a lot of the stuff what I'm using at the moment on this latest square, the leftovers from my, I think it was called the Marvin jumper that I made out of these jelly beans yarns that were a beautiful autumnal sort of fade set, going from a dark brown through to a red through to a mustard, and they were gorgeous. But I have to say, I don't know whether anybody else has noticed this, but it's lost the sheen that it had when I bought it, like a nice subtle sheen. I mean, you can see that, I don't know, in most, this is merino, but it seems to have dulled a lot. So I don't know whether it was the dyes, but they're all like that. They have been washed, I'd say twice, because I didn't wear the jumper very much. But I unpicked it. I haven't bothered. You can see from the crinkles. Well, you can't really, I don't pull it, but I haven't rescanned it and washed it and got the crinkles out, because I knew I was going to be using it for something scrappy, and it doesn't really show. So you've got dark brown and that mustard in that one there. So I'm trying to use as much of this as I can, and it's coming in use. So that's my blanket. Okay, let's put that. I'll be back in a minute and I'll talk to you about the make along. Let's talk about the mouths then. Like I said earlier, everything I talk about is down below, and at the moment we have just finished the jump along, and I'm going to announce the winner in a moment, or winners. And then we've also got the Smash the Stash melt, which will go on towards the end of the year. The Smash the Stash melt, why don't I just think of something as easy as to say, I've got a lisp, right, thither. It's no, it's like I'm doing it on purpose. Why do you have something with all the S's in if I can't say my S's properly? Anyway, this, to put anything into the Smash the Stash mail, it needs to be more than 50% of the item needs to be knitted with wool that you've had more than 6 months, yarn, more than 6 months. Okay, so but anything's open to it, you know, and it doesn't matter if you don't finish your item. If you're knitting a blanket and you're not manic about doing blankets like I am, and you like to take your time with the blanket, or it's even, you know, huge to cover a king size bed or something, then enter it anyway, as long as it fulfills that criteria. Okay, so those are the males. I would think of another male to do over this summer period, but I want to talk about the scrappy toy mail next, that's been run mainly by Alice of SoxyNana Alice. She's in Manitoba in Canada. Now, I've put a Ravelry thread on my page, and Alice has got the scrappy toy mail, which I'll put down here, and she's mainly running it from Instagram. So depending on what's your preference, then please, you know, if you're knitting a toy, and the book that Alice shows, which is why I got interested in joining in with her, is this Knitting Friends by Louise Krauser. Now, I know Anita of Gaga Knits has done a most beautiful Charlie dog in memory of her lovely old English sheepdog that she lost last year. But I quite like these patterns. I just love the fox. You can't see no instructions on that page, but there's the fox. And I'm not so keen. I think if I knitted the owl, I'd want his head to be a bit bigger, because to me that looks out of proportion, and I suppose I could just do it in slightly bigger wool. Maybe not slightly bigger needles, because then there's stuff in the throw too. But I love the ram as well. You know, can you see that? It's available online. It's a lovely book. I haven't knitted anything from it yet. I've got this because Kaz bought it, and I haven't heard from Kaz for a long time. She's took all her YouTube videos down, so I think she's going in a different direction. But I wish her all the luck in the world, because she's a lovely lady. But Kaz bought this, and I think she started knitting something out of it for one of her grandchildren. And of course, I had to have it. FOMO strikes again. But it is lovely. There's a cat, there's dog, cat, rabbit, donkey, the ram. Yeah, so, and the wool is a lot of Shipsy's, however you pronounce it, wool as well. So I would, I'd recommend this book because of what other people have said about it. So you can enter anything from there. You can enter anything that's small, I think. That's right, isn't it, Alice? Anything that's small, that's a toy, or it could be a doll. And the thing I want to knit is one of the tea room bears from Mary Jane's Tea Rooms patterns, and I'll put a photograph up here. I've got the yarn. I just want to get the 2 jumpers I've got on the needles, or at least the boxy finished before I start doing them. It will run till sometime in the summer. So please, you know, if you're thinking of knitting anything for a grandchild, a child, or just for you, because I quite like them myself, and I haven't got anybody at the moment I could give them to, then enter the scrappy toy mail, please. Well, you don't have to. If you want to, it'd be lovely if you could join us. So, let's have a think. If you can hear noises, Tom's washing our bathroom floor, which is really hard to do because we've got horrible bubbly non-slip, anti-slip flooring because it's a wet room, and we've lost. It's very old now, and the surface is gone, and you can't clean it properly. And we're waiting to get the bathroom done at some point next few years. We can't do it while we've got Bert, because we need to move out because it's the only loo we've got. We'd have to go missing for a few days. Oh, what a shame. Go on holiday somewhere. Anyway, I digress, but you might hear some noises of the mop being scrubbed into the floor. So let's talk about the jump along. The jump along has run since, I think, about September last year. It's had quite a few entries. Thank you to everybody who's entered. I've got some gorgeous ideas for jumpers and cardigans in there, and tops, and I really like some of the colour combinations and the patterns that people have used. So yeah, please go and have a look on the Ravelry thread if you're interested, or you want to look for some inspiration. But I decided to, or not but, I keep saying but, I don't mean but, I mean and I've decided to draw 2 winners for this particular mail because I had such a good response. And the first I got Tom to do, I was aiming to get one from a that's not the UK, and one in the UK preferably, and as it happened that's what ended up drawing. Tom gave Tom numbers from what was it, and he said 2 numbers, and I looked up, and sometimes I can't tell, but I could tell that I had one of each. So if your name is called, please get in contact. The first name I'm going to call is Sally Idso from Minnesota. Hello Sally. We talk on comments, and it's been lovely chatting to Sally. I know Sally made a most beautiful version of the Eye Dazzler jumper for her granddaughter. It's a pattern by Jennifer Berg that's on Ravelry, and it's a beautiful, I'll put a photograph of it on here, and it's got a lovely sort of zigzaggy pattern on the front. So yeah, nice piece of work, and Sally said she enjoyed knitting it as well, and it's done in lovely autumnal colours. So Sally, please get in touch with me, let me know your address. I'm not sure whether I've got it or not, and we'll sort out about sending your parcel and what I can give you, because I'll obviously make you a bag. They are wonky, definitely. And then the next one that was drawn, which is in the UK, is Sue Loops on Ravelry. Hello Sue. She entered 2 items. She entered Maritimo, which is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, which is the one with the more zigzags, actually, like a zigzag pattern at the bottom of a very nice loose short sleeve top. You know the pattern I mean. And also Sue put on there a sort of a drop sleeved summer top. It looked like it was cotton. I forgot to check, but she said it was on the front of the Simply Knitting magazine, and she knitted it up from the magazine. So very nice, in a lovely lilac-y colour. So yes, so congratulations to those 2 winners. Please can you get in touch with me with your addresses, and we will talk about getting packages out to you as soon as possible. So I have dealt with things in a different order, but we are where we are. I don't know what that means. So I'm now going to show you the incoming. It's probably a good idea if my mother leaves at this point. You see, she put a comment on my last video from Pat, and then she put Mom at the end with kisses. Thought you weren't going to buy any yarn this year. You think you'd know me by now, wouldn't you? I'll be back in a minute. Hello. The minute I stopped recording, I realised that I hadn't told you about some books I want to sell. I'm going to put them on Instagram. I sold some a couple of years ago, I think it is now, and I got rid of most of them. I'd had a clear out. They went successfully. Basically, I think want just a tenner for each of them. That includes UK postage and packing as well. I don't think there's any point in me trying to send them abroad because the postage costs are far too high. So I literally turned around, saw the books on the side, and I thought, ah! So this is going to be inserted somewhere, excuse me, in the video. I've just had a piece of banana cake that Tom made yesterday. And I'm talking too fast as usual. Anyway, I think the lighting will be a bit different. Well, 2 lights I had on are not there, but I hope this is going to be okay for you. Excuse me. Right, the first thing is Carrie Westerman's book. Is Carrie Westerman's Thing of Paper. So we'll be putting these on Instagram as well. This is a beautiful book. It has got I bought it for, let me see, it's a book about books basically, and I'll show you a couple of the thingies if I can, pictures. Oh sugar, you just have to not look at the, well, it just says about sizing and things, there's no pattern details. I want to show you the one that I'm going to make. There's some mittens in here, and there's the reason I bought it is for the Incanubla cardigan. Now I will say that considering she's she says in herself, you know, that she's a bigger girl, it only goes up to a 52-inch bust, this particular pattern, and I think that's generally, but that's the pattern on the back of the cardigan, and it's a crew neck cardigan, and then half of that pattern is on either side of the button band. There's beautiful shawls in here as well. There's a lovely like tam and mixed here, and I'll just show you a couple of shawls that I like, and we'll move on to the next. The cowl, the different weights that she uses. Rubication is the shawl that I really like, and that's that one there. I quite like that. It's knitted in 2 skeins of a baby camel, but a better photograph really. I can't show you that because it's got the charts on it. Anyway, there's a jumper with cuffs and patterning at the cuffs and the waist, and then there's woodcut. Here's another shawl. All these are on Ravelry. I had a Ravelry code with this, which obviously you won't be able to use again, so you won't be able to do that, but it's a nice book. I've never actually used it, so because I've got the Ravelry code and I haven't made anything from it. I'm hoping to make the Incanubla because I do like the patterning, but I could probably take the charts and put them into under the cardigan. So, gorgeous book, Carrie Westerman, This Thing of Paper. So that's the first one. The second one might be a surprise, but like it got a lot of airtime at the time when it came out, and that is Alternate by the Interweave people in America. I think they're in America, US rather than Canada. Now, just to give you a sample, there are patterns at the back, but basically it gives you templates for patterns, colourwork patterns. So you've got owls, spiders, bicycles, toadstools, different diamonds, squares, circles. Right, so on the front it says 200 modern knitting motifs, and I'm sure you can read a lot more. This Thing of Paper is a soft back. This is a hard back book. I might have to charge 12 quid for this to be a bit heavier to post, but I'll see if it comes within the same, you know. I mean, it's good if you like your colour work but you don't, you know, you want to incorporate into a blanket or a pattern that you've got, you know. And then there's some patterns at the back. I quite like that one. A cardigan there, done in different either variegated or different coloured blues. So that's it called. That's the alternate book. 3 more to go. There's Crochet the Shapes, Crochet Motifs, which by Edith Ekman. It looks like this is in US terms, and this is spiral bound. It's hardback and spiral bound, so it will lie flat, and it's got lots and lots of motifs, different motifs that you can put together, and it gives you advice on it gives you different motifs in the same size so that you can join them together. Let me show you. Let me show you an example. See, that example there, here, is two different motifs. Or you've got that starburst one in the corner, and then you've got the others are all the same. But that's what it's about. The receipt for it has fallen out. Again, it's a really nice book, but I can't see myself using it. Everything looks fairly simple too. You've got all shapes, triangular, round, hexagons, squares, you name it, I think it's in here. So, and all these books, you can look at the content, a lot of the content you can look up online if you're interested. The next one is Emily Foden's Knits About Winter, and this was a raved about book at the time. Now again, I've got the download code for this, so I'm not going to keep the book because I find books quite awkward to use anyway, as you know. But this has got some beautiful things in it. If you like classic designs, Barn, for instance, is one of the reasons I bought this book. I also like the, is it Sky Hat? Sky Hill hat. And the photography is beautiful in here. The other thing is that I like about it, it's the very clean lines. She's got like double lined mittens, knit the mittens and knit a liner. And if you watch Sia podcast, she's done the Winterberry vest. I'm sorry, I'm useless at showing things, but I thought it was easy to show you some of the content. Sorry, that flashed by like a pigeon flying at you. But there's good narrative in here as well, as in, you know, some of the books. The thing about paper, there's a lot of nice narrative to read. I have put some of the errata in here, so I'd recommend with any of these books to look at errata. Not maybe so much for the crochet motifs, but certainly the pattern books. East Wind is like an oversized jacket, and I really like that as well. Probably I have to make it a bit shorter for me, but I've started writing the errata in there, but I'm not sure whether I finished it. But I say, you know, I found it easily enough online. So that's originally retailed in Britain for £21.50. I don't think I paid that much for it. I bought it a little while after it was out. So Emily Foden, Knits About Winter. And then finally something very unusual, which is a Japanese crochet book. Now you could say to me, well, it's Japanese, and it is all Japanese, but if you can understand standard crochet terms, then you'll be okay. So you've got a lot of them are the pineapple lace, so if you like pineapple lace, this will be the book for you. Scarf, I can show you the photographs without the there's a lovely hat, and the hat there with a lovely bag as well. And I want to show you a cardigan before I stop talking. I do like that top. There, and then you've got it on this side worn over a dress, which I think is really, really nice. if crochet is your mojo, then this lovely little book, it was sent to me as part of a wool swap, and I thought, oh, I'm going to make these, but I've just not got round to it, so I'm afraid I'm going to let it go if anybody's interested in it. But yeah, it's got, no, that's not a cardigan. I'm trying to show you that as a cardigan. It's not a cardigan, but there's some lovely things in here. There's a top made out of motifs. Yeah, it's a really nice little book. It's got plenty of patterns in there. So I can't count. Several patterns in there. Highly recommended. So if any of you are interested in the crochet book, let me know. So I'll put the names of all the books. Well, I don't know what this one's called. It's called Let's Knit, and it's crochet, but I'll see if I can use Google Translate on it, see what it comes up with, because I've never used that, and Tom says it works. Thank you very much for joining me. Again, I hope I haven't interfered too much with your viewing of the podcast. I will put all these on Instagram in the next, probably won't be till Tuesday, but today's Sunday, and I'm hoping to get the podcast up by Monday night, because I'm out in the morning. But you won't know any of that. I'm telling you all this like you're sitting there waiting. You won't know any of that. So back to the podcast. See you soon, and thanks for your patience. Bye. Hello. Right, incoming, which is going to be interesting because I've got a towering tower of towers. Everything's collapsing. Tom said he couldn't even find a place to put the leg of the ring light, because it's like on a tripod. Leg of the ring light anyway today, because I've just got stuff everywhere, which is true. Can't deny it. Anyway, I think I'm not in any particular order, but I'll show you the fabric first. From Empress Mills, I bought this lovely sort of it's not a purple, is it? It's like a dark mauve, I'd say. I don't know. And it's a jersey, so it's got a bit of stretch to it. And I bought this to make myself some knickers, because I'm having terrible trouble with knickers. I've got a bowl of knickers behind me. You don't believe me, do you? A bowl of knickers? Whoever said that before? Basically, I've just bought some more knickers from Bon Marche the other day, because they were recommended to me by you know who. I mean, you know who you are. And so we're 3 for a tenner, but you can't return them, obviously. So I thought I'll try them. But in the meantime, well, I've got to try and have a go at making my own. So I've got this lovely spotty mauvey colour, dark mauvey colour, and then because it was on offer, I think it was a bit of a discount or free shipping or free postage, I got this one. It's again same sort of jersey. It's a like a rustic stripe. I don't know if that's even a thing, and it's a pale pink. In fact, it's almost identical to the t-shirt I've got on. But I thought also that I could make knickers out of that, but B, the two go quite nicely together if I wanted to do a yoke or different coloured sleeves for the t-shirt. So bearing in mind I've not done any sewing with jersey at all, and my mother has done very little as well, as far as I'm aware, then who knows what might happen. And the other fabric I bought, I was looking at somebody doing some English paper piecing on Instagram, and one thing led to another, and I ended up going to fabriclove.co.uk, I think it is. I'll put the details below. And I bought a set of fat quarters from the Craft Cotton Company. Now I think I've seen their fat quarters in Hobbycraft as well, so I don't want to take this apart, but you can see it's got like a bird motif on it. And then if I sort of move the thingies along a bit so you can see some of the other colours. They're quite nice. I quite like turquoise and things. That's a really good blender there. And then the one at the back. So, and I thought those colours all together, they look quite nice, don't they? Well, I think they do. It's sort of one of my sets of colours that I like to put together. I will say that the Craft Cotton Company, they're not the bestest quality of fabric. They can be a bit of a looser weave, but they're perfectly adequate for things like project bags and quilting and things. So yeah, there's that. And then the reason why I went on there, because I saw this like vintage style fabric, and I've just got it in my head at the moment. So I bought 1/2 metre of a turquoise. I don't know if it's a poplin or a lawn, it's quite fine. A pink, and I don't know how this is going to show up because I'm by the window and I've got 2 lights on me, and a yellow. Do you know what I would love? I'd love a dress in that. I'd love a top in that. I think that yellow. I don't think I could quite wear it next to my face. Otherwise, I'd be ordering more of that to have as a blouse or something. And then I ordered 2 fat quarter packs, and I'll just show you one of each of the colours because they did duplicate. There's a dusky rose and a stripe, a ditzy pink print, and a slightly bigger print rose, a dot, and a green, and I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So they're all from Fabric Love, and they're going to be project bags. So if either Sally or Sue like a bit of chintz, do you remember the IKEA advert to out the chintz? Took out the chintz or something a few years ago, which I thought was ironic really, because they'd had that Cath Kidston style fabric bedding, which I had in my spare room when I was in the flat for years before, but it seems to come back into our consciousness a little bit with clothing and things. And then I received this month's yarn club from Emma of Yarnworthy. Now I'm in the bi-monthly yarn club, and I'm receiving a bear merino silk and yak from her every other month, and then the colour that she chooses to dye. So mystery club, and this one is, I'd say it's like a deep sea greeny blue, absolutely gorgeous. It's got bottle greens and really really nice. And it's the same yarn that I'm knitting the Blue Moment in the Rust in. So I've gone a bit mad on Silky Yak, because one of my advents is a Silky Yak as well. And I think I've got an idea what I want to do with that, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, I need to write things down. Is it my age? Or am I just trying to do too many things at once? And then Ange of Yarn and Yarns. Ange has a small online shop, and she stocks Emma Ball and Opal and lots of other things. So if you're in need of either of those, please go and visit her shop. But I bought some Opal sock yarn because I know my mum gets bored. I'm going to get thumped. And this is, no, it's called Beauty, and Ange on the website said that it's got Edelweiss and vitamin E in the yarn. It's a 75-25 mix, woolen polyamide. Really, really soft. It does to me, it feels softer than your standard Opal, I think. But I don't knit with it because I don't make socks. There's a picture of what it should look like. But I just really like the colours. And to be honest, it's good value for money, and I think I prefer to wear commercial sock yarn even though I don't walk. So yeah, it's there. I'm sure, I don't know if Angie's got any more of this particular colour in stock, but this was my favourite, probably because it's springtime. And then while I was there, I bought a couple of tins, which I can't find, but they've got the gnomes on. And the gnomes is this design. I think it's one of the newer designs from Emma Ball. And this is the project book. This is really good value for money, actually. And it's going to be super to send off in giveaways, or I might keep it myself because I've only bought one. But as you can see, it's got the crocheted flowers on. And I really do like the knitted or crochet or woven carrots on the back. But to give you an example of a page layout, you've got a grid on one side, and then you've got some essential items about your project this side, and plenty of space to write about. And then inside the front and the back covers, you've got conversion charts for crochet and knitting. You've got a gauge for inches and centimetres, and you've got crochet term conversion, yarn weights, common knitting abbreviations. So I think that's super little book. You know, and if that's the sort of thing you want to get into now, up until now I've used the Stationery Geeks knitting Bible. When I say up until now, I haven't put anything in mine for about 18 months. I've got swatches lying around the place in different containers that I want to paste into my knitting Bible, because they're spiral bound, so you've got plenty of room for the book to expand, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I need to get onto that. Another thing I should put on a list of things to do. Then I bought a couple of cards, the Oyster Catcher, and these are by Emma Ball as well, and Commemoration, because I'd already got the lovely Badger one from Sal, and that is in, you know, Sal, the sponsor of my podcast and my knitting life, certainly the Worsted Boxy, and I really like the design on that, so I was surprised to see it was Emma Ball. I didn't realise, hadn't looked. I've got some of that Badger card on my notice board behind me, which is why I mention it. So I go off on tangents. And I also bought a couple of packs of the note cards that Emma does to put into, so I can write a note and put it in giveaways and mail prizes. I'm hoping she'll do a gnome one. Do you think she'll do a gnome one, Ange? I hope she will. So that's my incoming. Not too bad. Yeah. But of course, that's all. Make sure I've got everything. I got a bit more fabric from Lewis and Irene, which has got knitting and sewing stuff on it, that I bought from Empress Mills, but it's in a big package next to me here, and it's got the Bosal foam in, and if I open it, it's going to go, and so I'm avoiding opening it at the moment until I've got somewhere to shove the foam. So yes, there we go. Now, that's all I've come on here to talk about crafting wise. I have sorted my buttons out. I've put them into plastic bags and by colour, and I've got ideas about things I'd like to make, like brooches and stuff, and I've got the brooch backs, I've got the tiny buttons I want to use. I've got my favourites at the moment. I've got a pair of, I'm going to say this right, but you need to take it as it's meant. I've got a pair of great tits on my feeders at the moment, okay? I like the striking black heads. I mean, I love the blue tit because they're so tiny. I'll tell you what, they're ferocious little devils. But the great tits have just got very, very nice colours on. And we've also had a pair of green finches for the first time on our feeders. But the pigeon ate a whole dish full of mealworms, seeds and peanuts yesterday without giving hardly anybody else a look in. We've got to find a way of giving that mix of things to the smaller birds so that the pigeon doesn't eat everything, because there's plenty of stuff on the floor for the pigeons to eat. It's just they'll stand there and they will just pig out. That's why they're called pigeons. I don't know. It's just a shame, really, because I want to attract a wider variety. I don't just want 3 wood pigeons standing there going ooh all day. I'm moaning. Right, so what have I been doing? Well, the day after I recorded last time, which was the end of March, Tom went to see his mum and his sister in Stockport. So he goes up the M6, and he had quite good trip this time there and back. No hold-ups or anything. And he made good time, and he came back with almond slices, which, you know, to my mind, it made it very worth his while. Then the following day we had a very interesting, informative talk with the Pension Wise scheme, which is a government scheme where you talk to a financial advisor that's an expert on pensions. They don't give you any exact advice, they tell you what your options are. So if you're having to think about stuff like that, then I would certainly, you can book an appointment online. We had terrible trouble getting our phone connected on, so we can both hear on speaker. The one phone ran out of battery. The next phone decided to give up on us. But we got it working in the end. The man was very patient. Probably rolling his eyes behind the scenes. But yeah, so we've got some things to pursue now. Then last week, or 2 weeks ago now, we had a tenner evening, the first Wednesday in the month. And we went to Cozy Club. It was a nice evening. I had the buttermilk chicken. I wasn't that impressed with it. I didn't eat it all. They do nice skin on fries, but they do a little pot of coleslaw. Honestly, it's, you know, these little ones, bon maman. It's about the size of that. And to me, it never tastes very fresh, so I don't usually bother eating it. I had a cocktail, one single alcoholic drink, but I can't remember what it was. But it was nice. And then we talked about our next that evening, which is just before the coronation of King Charles III. I can't get my head out of it because the Queen's been there for so long. It's a bit sort of doesn't compute yet with me. I'm no royalist really. I'm not bothered too much by them. Well, some of them are better than others. Let's put it that way. But we're going to wear a crown, and I might make some ermine to put around my collar, and get some cotton wool and put some black splashes on it, that sort of thing. We'll see. I do like dressing up, as you well know. So yeah, we're going to go to a Cozy Club and we're going to have a coronation celebration. That's good, isn't it? It sounds good, that does. And then on Easter Sunday, Mum came for dinner. And we had chicken with all the bits and pieces. She didn't want any pudding though, but she bought us some lovely cherry scones, which were delicious. And we'd already bought a lemon drizzle cake, so unfortunately, because Mum wouldn't take any home with her, we had to eat it all on our own this week. And then Wednesday this week, I went to Merry Hill with Elaine and Liz. We were thinking about going to a garden centre, but the weather has been appallingly unpredictable. People say April showers, but it's like throwing a bucket of water at you, some of these showers. And then it's sunshining again a few minutes later. So we went to Merry Hill because it was easy. The thing that I've got a hoist in the back of my car that lifts my power chair, not this one, a smaller one, out of the car for the girls, and then they put arms and a back on it, and it's usable then as a power chair. Now, Elaine and Liz don't see very well, and the wireless remote, which is a box and you just point it, radio remote, pointed at the box, and it does up, down, in and out. And they've been using that very successfully for years. But that's broken. And when I spoke to the company, well, we haven't done one of them for years. We do a wired one now, like the old telephone cord, curly wire. You'll have to come and get a quote. So how much is that going to cost me? I don't really want to pay a lot of money for it because, like Tom said, if you know how to program it, you can get one of these boxes that the remote was in. You can get 2 for £6 off some Chinese or electronic sellers, So I don't spend too much because you never know how long you're going to keep your car, do you either? So I'm going to go down to Cheltenham, which isn't far. It's nearer. They're an agent for the chair or hoist I've got. So they're nearer to go to than actually go to the hoist people themselves. So I'm going to make an appointment to go and see them. But getting back to going to Merry Hill, it meant that there's a box on the side of the car and it's got toggle buttons up and down. in and out. So Elaine took a photograph of it, and then Liz was working the hoist, and Elaine was going in, out. She was looking at her phone, telling Liz which one to do, and Liz was doing all the switches, you know. So we get round everything. You think, you know, they say coping strategies, but I think they did really, really well, you know, and they didn't go wrong. So I was really, really pleased. Dropped Liz off at the train station because she was going into Birmingham. Took Elaine home, and then once I got home, I was knackered. I was all right while I was driving, while I was talking and doing, you know. Well, it was busy in Merry Hill because the kids were still on holiday. I had to wait 20 minutes at least in Costa just for 3 drinks and 3 hot cross buns because I'm not had any breakfast, so I needed to eat. And we stopped in Greg's for another drink later on, but we actually got a seat then because I think people had gone in early, and obviously, you know, it started to get a bit quieter. So that was nice, but I did suffer the next day. I've had a few things going wrong with my head. I keep getting head rushes and things, and I think it's associated with congestion in my neck from wear and tear because my neck's so crunchy. And when I was going through the vertigo and things, I got to realise that the days that my neck felt more crunchy and I could hear it were the days that my head was more likely to play up. So I'm hoping that's what it is. So we'll see. What can you do? Right, I've got to go, I suppose. I like talking to you, but it's a bit weird talking to a camera. I suppose I'm getting used to it. Not necessarily getting any better at it. The thing that I put at the end of the last video was I was going to talk about the 2 cleansing balms that I've got that I put on before I get in the shower, or I use to take my makeup off if I've got makeup on, proper foundation and things, and mascara. So if you'd be interested, because they're very different price points, if you're interested in me doing that, then I will. But I decided to not do that today when I redid my video, because I know it's something not everybody's interested in. But I can always do it at the end anyway if there's enough people interested on my point of view, so that anybody else that doesn't want to watch it can leave. So, just a reminder, there are 2 mails running. There's a Scrappy Toy mail, and I've left a link to Alice's channel on YouTube's down below, and there is also the Smash the Stash mail, where you can put anything in you like as long as it's to the rules. So I will see you in about a fortnight when I get back from Wonderwall. I am really, really looking forward to going to Wonderwall. I will be sat down in Hall 2 at the far end by Jilly's Coffee Bar, I think it's called. It's the end where outside are all the catering things and some loos. So if you walk up towards, if you come from the car park, you walk up to the main halls. There's one on the left, which I think is Hall 3, weirdly, although it's the first one you come to. But then you've got a long bank of what's Hall 1 and 2. And you don't even notice you're going out of one into another, really, when you're inside. But it's right at the far end where the wall, the end wall of the halls are. So I'm going to be there. I don't know why I'm doing this, because, you know, we do talk with our hands, don't we? I'm going to be there, sat down there from 1 till 2, at least. So please come and join me. Come and say hello. If you see me otherwise, please say hello. Although probably need to avoid chatting for too long outside the stalls. Don't want to stop people from getting into stalls, because I'm quite, you know, compact size, admittedly, but wheelchairs can get in the way because they're not easy to. They can't jump sideways by a couple of inches and avoid people and stuff. So I'm going to try and avoid chatting for too long in the actual corridors, or whatever you want to call them, pathways, walkways. But yeah, I will stop and have a drink, and I'm hoping to see Anita and Paula and Sal and Pip and anybody else who said they're going that I may have forgotten briefly now. But please come and say hi. And otherwise, I will show you my haul, and I shall be honest about it. It might be helpful. I mean, I've only used, from last year's haul, I've only used the green from Witchcrafty Lady that I made my blossom jumper out of, which I love. I could wear that, actually. I might wear that. See what the weather's going to do. Anyway, me and Penny are coming. We're coming to Wonderwall. And I really am excited. I think as an adult, you don't always get excited about too much, do you? So, really looking forward to it. It was nice chatting to you today. I hope I've spoke a bit slower than I had done on my previous podcast that you don't know about. I've slowed down and I've been more structured. I will see you soon. You take care. Bye.